Good evening. I'm Esmeralda Aharon, mother, Latina, veteran, and I was not aborted. You heard me right. I was not aborted. Adversity hit my home before I was born. As a young girl, I wondered why I was different. Why did all my cousins have a mother and a father? I questioned things within my head, but was afraid to ask. Maybe I did not know how to formulate the question of the why. Why were things the way they were? Again, I knew things were different. I was different. And from the beginning, I had to defend my mother, defend myself, defend. Adversity hit my home before I was born. Now what? I found God, or maybe He found me. I prayed the most of simple of prayers. God, give me wisdom, give me strength, give me faith, give me joy. I grew up and got married, had a couple of babies, and then one passed away. Adversity hit my home, but now I felt it. It hurt. It did not just hurt. It stung deep down inside my soul. For anyone who has lost a child, you know. You know the feeling of inconsolable pain. You know the feeling of angst. You sleep and hope it was all a dream. The question of how to live again after losing my Gilelito, my beautiful son, was not one that I could fully grasp. Adversity hit my home and my heart stopped. I needed something to wake me. I needed someone to heal me. I needed the pain and the hurt to go away. I could not understand why my loving God would take my son away. The son I loved was no longer alive. I saw some railroad tracks and saw a solution to my pain, to the achiness inside my soul, and I saw a way out. Snap! I need help, I told myself. I thought of my oldest son. I thought of my husband. There must be another way. And just like that, I thought of the military. I loved marching after all. I did it in band. I will do something bigger than myself. I will focus on others and start living again. And so I left. I left my 4-year-old and my husband, took a bus and headed to San Antonio, Texas. I left before adversity struck my home again. I found the Air Force Chaplain Corps, and it brought me back to my faith. It gave me peace and strength. It gave me joy again. But adversity hit my home again, and again, and again. The day my daughter was born, I was dying. I was given 14 units of blood, which is enough blood to save 42 people, as 1 unit of blood saves 3 lives. I was ready to see Jesus. I was done. My body could no longer fight. It took everything for me to breathe on my own again. I am standing in front of you simply by the grace of God. The doctor told my family that they had done everything humanly possible. He asked my husband, "Do you know how to pray?" He answered, "Yes." "Good, because that is all you have right now." So they prayed. All over the country, they prayed. When I woke up and I realized I had not died, I knew that God had a purpose for my life. He saved me so I could tell you and you and you of His mighty power, of His incredible mercy, of His amazing grace. His power was stronger than my health issues. His grace was sufficient for me. Placenta prurita, the worst of the placenta issues, had eaten through the uterus and had attached to my bladder. So the day my daughter was born, I had a complete hysterectomy, and they had to repair my bladder as well. The doctors told my family that even if I would survive the surgeries, I had lost so much blood that I may not be the same person again, that I might be disabled. They used the phrase, a vegetative state. But the moment I realized I was alive, I knew that if God had saved me, He would make me whole again. And He did. And what of the child, you might ask? She's 21 years old and in college right now. We both survived. We are survivors. Did adversity stay away from me? No. It has hovered around me, but I have the tools to not just survive, but even thrive through them. Through deployments, after just giving birth to my son 6 months prior, and my body feeling the effects of leaving him behind, it broke my heart to say goodbye. Hearing the stories of my son having high fevers and the car breaking, and my husband walking in the snow to the hospital to get him seen, while I am in 115-degree weather caring for other service members, and getting on C-130s with the priest to visit locations such as Taif, Oman, and Kuwait while deployed to Saudi Arabia. Years later, that same son ending up in the hospital having a surgery, and I am in Qatar at a deployment without an end date. A deployment that began 2 weeks prior when the Twin Towers were hit, when America was hit at the very core of our national pride. Adversity struck my home over and over again. But now I had the tools of spirituality, of physical strength, of social awareness, and mental acuity. When I was down, God picked me up. When I was tired, He was my strength. I have learned to practice what I preach. The same tips that I shared with airmen who came to seek counseling services. I have also learned to trust in Jesus and have relied on my faith time and time again. Now that you know how I did it, how I faced adversity head on, think of what you do. What tools are in your toolbox to face obstacles head on? Do you get on your knees and cry? I've done that. Then I get up. Do you ask for help? I've done that over and over again. I called my friend after waking up from passing out in the toilet, thinking I was urinating, and I was actually hemorrhaging. I called a friend versus 911. That was the state of my mind because of the blood loss. She came to my rescue and saved both my daughters and my life, and I am forever grateful to her. Do you take care of your mental health? I did. After losing my husband, 11 days after retiring from the Air Force. And when the same month, finding out my mother and my adult children all had the COVID virus. I felt like Job from the Bible, and even then I thought to myself, what more could God take away from me? It didn't take long to get the answer. I got infected with the virus as well. Adversity struck my home again, but this time it was so much more personal. Losing my husband was one thing, but losing all 3 of my children, that was inconceivable. I could barely speak or breathe because I was sick, but I started texting frantically, asking for prayers. Across the country, people started praying for my family. A friend saved our lives through a powerful health supplement that we take to this day. Once my physical body got strong again, I reached out to the VA and sought therapy. For 8 weeks, I met with a psychologist because I needed help. I needed joy. When that was not enough, I sought grief care for 8 weeks. When that was not enough, I requested another 8 weeks. What about your physical health? How are you staying physically strong? Let me give you some tips. Yoga, walking, hiking, portion control, staying hydrated, vitamins, grounding, and the list goes on. The reason I was not aborted was because my story of resilience must be shared. It must be heard. Your story must be shared. It must be heard. I matter. You matter. Our voices must be heard. So, my friends, speak up. Speak out. With wisdom, speak up for yourselves and the communities you love. Speak out for the marginalized. Speak up for the widow. Speak up for veterans. Speak up. From questioning whether I had a story to share for tenacity and embracing the opportunity presented by the powerhouse, Jennifer Bardot, I have journeyed to Calladita's Rising, where I have helped create a powerful chorus of voices alongside my dear friend, Gabriela Ramirez Arellano. I am silent no more. Calladita no más. Today, I share my story of strength in adversity. I would even say strength despite adversity, because it's not if adversity will come, but when it does, you will be ready. Thank you.